Hey guys, what's going on with my hair? Super blue. If you're wondering what all this crap here is, I am actually selling a bunch of my old collectible action figures on eBay. So if you're interested in checking out anything I've got for sale, including a bunch of pop vinyls over here, then go down the link below to my eBay is there. So scroll down and there's a link to my eBay there. Welcome back to the Aspie world. Today's video is going to be on autism and memory. So we're going to look at autism memory, short-term memory, what we can remember, what we can't remember, why we can't remember those things. Then we're going to look at long-term memory and the recall process, and also the recording playback process, which is like pictures and stuff. Anyway, but we'll get into that, and I'm going to give you a bit of some of my examples along the way of my experience with these situations. So first of all, guys, I read out comments from you, and this week I have 3 awesome comments lined up. So here, let's get stuck in. Sherlocked and Loaded had said lol first question mark, which is cool, and I've never viewed one of these comments before, and it's kind of cool that like people want to be first to comment. So hey, look, you could be first next week as long as you hit that subscribe button and that bell icon on desktop and mobile. Next comment here is from Ronnie Sarotino, and they said Hulu has a show about a girl, Aspie, an Aspie girl, sorry. I'm not sure about the name, but we've watched it. But I've watched it and I really recommend it. Right, if anybody has an idea what they're going on about, I don't know what show that is. I don't have Hulu, but I could definitely get it if I know what show it is, and I'd love to see it. So please put a comment down below if you know what they're talking about. Okay, next comment here is from Lilith Levandula, and they said, hi, I just wanted to say that I love your videos. Thank you. Especially now because I have been diagnosed to be on the spectrum. Your videos are so helpful and I learn a lot. Thank you so much. You are absolutely welcome. This is what these videos are designed for. These videos are designed to kind of hold your hand after you've been diagnosed, or help you get to that process of being diagnosed, and help inform people who may not realize the difficulties we face. As always, guys, I'm going to be featuring somebody from my Twitter profile right at the end of the video, so make sure you stay to the end of the video to see. It might actually be used. If you recently followed me on Twitter, you might have actually be featured in my video right at the end, but make sure you go and follow me on Twitter so that I can perhaps capture you and put you at the end of my video next week. Okay guys, so every week I ask you guys to give me something that you like. That could be like a favorite book, movie, or film, whatever. So this week's one is, what is your favorite movie? And my favorite movie is Fight Club with Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. So let me know your favorite movie. That'd be super cool. Okay guys, moving on with the video. Okay guys, so there is an issue or problems or information surrounding autism and memory, and this is quite interesting really, because a lot of people think there's a stigma, right, that people say like if you have autism you have like excellent memory, you can recall anything in the world, and that you have this photographic or filmographic memory, which is kind of not true, and it's not true for every single person. But this is like a general overview of short-term memory versus long-term memory on the autism spectrum. Okay guys, so first up we have short-term memory, and there's this thing with short-term memory where, like, okay, so my experience of this is that my mum would say to me something like, hey Dan, can you go in the kitchen and get X? So I'd walk into the kitchen and I just completely forget, like I have no idea where I'm at, like what am I supposed to be doing? I can't remember birthdays. It took me age. I don't even know my mum's birthday. I only know my dad's birthday because it's the December 25th, which is Christmas Day, and it's easy to remember, but I couldn't put money on any of my siblings or my parents' birthdays other than my father's, because it's super difficult to grasp. I don't know. I don't know why it's super difficult to grasp, but it is. And then so another experience would be like if I go into the shop to get something, I have to write down a list and take it with me and constantly look at the list, because I can't just go off on a whim and remember those things. Like it just never happened. Even if it was only 2 items, it was like milk and like eggs or something, like I could never remember that, which is really weird. But the idea is that Asperger's people have problems with short-term memory with non-visual memory. In particular, the Aspie has trouble remembering the things that people tend to tell him mid-conversation. So this is where it would be difficult to say like, oh, remember to give me a call next Tuesday at 11 o'clock, and that, you mean that would just go out. And this is why I have this. So this has got everything on it, because like there's no way on earth I'd ever remember any of this stuff. And it's like dates and times and things to do, which is all really confusing. But here's a little list of things that we may not remember short-term memory wise because we are on the autism spectrum, and that can include people's names, birthdays, dates and times of events, shopping lists, and specific lists of items like the periodic table, which is super annoying because I'm a chemist, I've got a degree in chemistry. And when I was doing my degree, trying to remember the periodic table was just like ridiculously non-existent. It was horrible. But there you go. But moving on now to long-term memory, and this is one thing I find quite interesting because and this is why I have trouble with it, because my short-term memory was like really crap, but my long-term memory is pretty good. So I can remember stuff like conversations I had with my brothers and sisters when we were like kids. You know, I can remember exactly what my mum said to me, like on my birthdays or whatever, any day, any time. Throughout history of my life, I can remember conversations with people, I can remember what people were wearing. But the weird thing for me, and I don't know if anybody else gets this, but I am colorblind in my memory. So when I think back to it, I don't remember the colors, I just remember them being there, and I remember you know, I can see the picture perfectly, but the colors are completely weird. So I don't know if that's just me. If you have issues with this, please put it in the comment section below, because I want to know if anybody else has the same issue. Yeah, so the long-term memory is pretty good. And for me, it's remembering things that we've done, or remembering things people have said. I always remember things people have said. And this kind of comes into play when, if you hear a joke or something that makes you laugh, you could just be sitting down and it would just come to your head, because it's like a long-term memory thing. Your mind's just constantly going over those things. And sometimes I'm just sitting down and I'm just like laughing, and then nobody's like, dude, what you doing? I'm like, I'm laughing because of this joke. And she's like, well, yeah, you know, we had this joke like 6 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, but it's as clear as day in my head. And this is quite interesting. And I feel like a lot of people have the same experience, especially with jokes and just like blurting out laughter and things like that, which I find quite funny. But you know, it's funny, like, and I do love my memory for that, because I can remember things like that. I just love remembering things like that because it's so helpful. You know, it's like pictographic or photographic. But the actual terminology is, they call it filmographic, or not, well, it's being dubbed as filmographic, not photographic. A photographic means that it's stationary, it's still, but filmographic means that you can relive it like it's a movie in your head, which is similar to how I experience it, and I'd love to know if you guys experience it the same way. So there's other bits in there. So recall is recalling precise events. So say you had to go to like somebody's birthday party, or you went on holiday, or you were just going to the store with your mother, you could you know, remember that from years and years and years gone by. The older you get, the stronger the memory becomes, and that's just like every single day. It could be anything, the most random thing in the world. It could be going gas from the gas station, it could be going to get flowers with your mum for a friend for their birthday. It could be absolutely anything, you remember it. And I remember little things like that, like completely 100%, and it's so bizarre. It's remembering the conversations you have with people, and this is one of the strong things. So to me, remembering the conversations that you have with people, this is one of the things that people with Aspergers Syndrome and the Autism Spectrum usually remember. It's remembering conversations, you know, 10, 15 years ago. I can remember conversations pretty much all the way through primary school, where I was, so from the age of like four onwards, I can remember pretty much every single conversation I've had. You know, okay, bear in mind some have been dropped out, and there is this kind of phenomena where you will lose a bit of memory of something to make room for another bit of memory, because it's coming from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. And that's something quite interesting as well, because there's this path. It transitions from being a short-term memory thing to a long-term memory thing, and that can display forgetfulness and other things. But it could be why short-term memory is so rubbish, because we're not loading up on short-term memory, we're actually loading up for the long-term memory, which is really bizarre. But I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm not a psychologist, so I don't really know the specific science terms of that. And the other one is recording playback. So the phenomena of recording playback, so you record everything constantly, so we're always recording things, and our minds are always recording things and taking it in as if we were recording a video, and then we are playing it back in our minds like watching a movie. And I think that's fascinating, and I love that, and I love that experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So that's kind of cool. If you like this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to learn more about yourself and your condition, about autism and Asperger's syndrome, please hit that subscribe button above here. If you'd like to see my last video, it's over here. And then here's a video that YouTube think that you will like. And don't forget to check out this top corner for the Twitter profile. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.